we have been studying the music of Nina Simone for the last number of weeks. We've learned a few of her songs, and we've learned about her role in the civil rights struggle and her role as the high priestess of soul, and my favorite, I will just say flat out, my favorite performer in American history. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to welcome a great musician in his own right and a wonderful man, my new friend, Sam Waymon, who's here to sing for us, to answer your questions about his work and his life. He's written many great songs, he's scored films, and he's met Dr. King, as I'm sure we will discuss. He has marched with Dr. King, and he has many great stories to tell, and I'm very, very honored that you're here, Mr. Sam Waymon. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
So nice to have you.
Hello.
So Sam, if you want to start us off with the song, that would be a great way to set the tone, and then we'll get into some questions. How's that sound?
Okay. What about if I start with, should I do I Wish I Feel first?
That would be wonderful.
Okay. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say, and then I say them loud and say them clear for the whole wide world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart and remove all the bars that still keep us apart. I wish I could know what it means to be me, and then you would see, and then you would agree that every man should be free. I wish I could give what I'm longing to give. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things that I should do, and though they're way overdue, I would be starting anew. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found that I could fly. I would soar to the sun, and I would look down at the sea. Then I would sing, 'cause I know. I would sing, 'cause I know. I would fly, oh, like a bird in the sky. I would fly, 'cause I know how it feels. Oh yeah, I would fly like a bird in the sky. 'Cause I know, yeah, like a bird. To my people, to all the people, if you know what it's like to be like a bird, then you know what it's like to be free. 'Cause I know, how it feels to be free. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
what was your first impression of her music, meaning your sister's music?
What was my first impression
Yes,
of my
I imagine you were much younger, right? By about
I'm about 5 years younger.
5 years younger. And so you saw her playing as you grew up, I imagine. What was your first impression of her music when she started her career and started to branch out and started to become known?
Well, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was very unusual because there are 8 children in the family, and all 8 of us play the piano, including my mom and dad. So everybody in the family plays.
Right.
So it wasn't unusual to know that she had become an artist. The thing was, though, because my mother was very religious and a minister, the reason that she didn't go by the name of Eunice Waymon is that she didn't want my mother to know that she was playing, as they call, the devil's music.
Right.
So she changed her name to Nina Simone. And when I found out that my sister Eunice is now Nina, I said, okay, this is cool. Actually, we didn't use the word cool back in those days, but I thought it was quite different. And I liked it. It was rooted in gospel because her first hit record was I Love You, Porgy.
Right.
And when I heard it, I said, okay, this is all right. I liked it. My mother didn't know who she was. It wasn't until later on that my mother found out that Eunice is actually Nina.
Right.
But we never called her Nina. We always called her Eunice. Now, the only person that was allowed to call her Eunice was me.
Right.
Later on. She didn't like that because I reminded my sister of my father. That's why I ended up being with her, because she didn't trust anybody but me. And when I joined the group in I joined the group in 1960. 65, I think it was, something like that. And so she was happy to have me to come along. She asked me to join her because the band was happy because they took some of the weight off of them because she was getting on their nerves. So when I joined, I think I'm giving you a pretty wide answer.
Oh, that's good. We like wide answers.
That's what happened. I enjoyed it. I learned to appreciate her music as I played with her more and more because she was quite different.
Right.
And we were taught to always be our individual selves, no matter what.
Yes.
And that's what I enjoyed. I relished in that. And that was good for me.
That's beautiful.
I respected her for that.
Something I was wondering was, later in life, she said that in a strange way, she had a small amount of regret about some of the more controversial songs and the ferocity of her songs. But I sense at the same time that she was very proud of those songs. But she says that they hurt her career.
Yes.
But it seems to me that in the long term, the very long term,
yes,
centuries from now, people will remember her specifically because of those songs. Not only her incredible piano playing and her incredible voice, but also what she was trying to do with her music. My sense is that is what cements her as not just a star, but an important historical figure, someone who really changed the course of history.
That's easy, because of where we grew up. We grew up in Tryon, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And in my small town, back in those days, segregation was very much alive. So we had to walk on one side of the street, and we had to drink on colored fountains. To go to the movie theater, we had to sit at the top. And so racial strife and racial injustice and us experiencing that made it a natural when it comes to transferring that to music.
Right.
I mean, it was a part of our lives. Tryon was still is a beautiful town, but the political aspect of it started when she had taken music lessons from Mrs. Mazinovich. I took lessons from Mrs. Mazinovich too, Mrs. Mazzy, we called it. And when Nina did her first recital, and my parents came, they had to sit in the back And Nina said, in the place, these were all white people,
Right.
sponsors. And Nina said, I am not going to play unless my parents come and sit down in the front row.
Right.
She was very defiant. They called it defiant. She wasn't defiant. She was just standing up for what she thought was justice. She said, I am, and the place was packed. These were all donors who had, paying for Nina's education. And she said, unless my parents sit down front, I am not going to perform. And Nina got up from the piano, and she started to walk out.
Yeah.
And they said, Mrs. Massey said, no, your parents can sit down front with all these other white people. And Mrs. Massey is German. And that's what happened. So I think that ability for her to stand up for herself and understand that the color of my skin is as important as yours.
Right.
And if you want to respect my musicianship and my artistry, then you got to respect my parents. That's where I think that was the beginning of her journey. And so the political overtones of that is very obvious.
Right.
Because I'm black, you have to respect me if you want me to respect you. And if you're going to say I'm a great artist, then you got to respect where I come from, my heritage, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And that's where that came from. And she's been that way ever since. She spoke up. She didn't take any you-know-what from anybody.
Right.
And she respected her history. She knew who she was. She knew where she came from. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't going to kowtow or bend to anyone else's standards except her own, with respect.
Indeed.
And our father and our mom taught us that. Treat others like you would like to be treated yourself.
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. My question is I've heard that you were friends with Dr. Martin Luther King, and I just wanted to know how well of a relationship you guys had and how he was like as a person, as a character.
Well, as you may or may not know, of course, I marched with him in Philadelphia. And I went to jail with him and Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, and when we were marching against the black postal workers, with the black postal workers in Philadelphia. And I sang at his funeral. I had the opportunity to find out more about the man when I spent the 24 hours with him in jail. I think it's needless to say he was a nice man, but he was very adamant about freedom, justice, injustice, and he, as you also know, he spoke eloquently. He really loved speaking and fighting for freedom. That was his calling. And as you all know, the rest is history about Martin Luther King. He respected me. I was a young man at the time, and I was so honored to be in his presence. And I learned a lot about myself and about freedom at that time. So Martin Luther King was a great man.
Do you teach music?
Yes, I do.
Maybe you could tell us a bit about
I do. As a matter of fact, I taught a class yesterday with the photographer that's here right now with me. Yes, I still teach. And I teach at right here in Nyack at the Rock Shop. That's the name of it on Main Street. I teach piano, I teach voice, and I teach breathing. Because you have to learn, you got to know how to breathe in order to know how to hold a note. And that's what I do. I've been playing the piano, by the way, since age 3.
Wow. Would you like to share another song with us?
Oh, sure. Yes. I'll do a song from Mr. Backlash.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. This is a blues now. Mr. Backlash, Backlash, who do you think I am? You raise my taxes, freeze my wages, send my son to Vietnam. You give me second-class houses, second-class schools. Do you think all colored folks like me are second-class fools, Mr. Backlash? I'm gonna leave you with the blues. Well, when I try to find a job to earn a little cash, all you got to offer me is your mean old backlash. But the world is big, bright, and round. It's full of folks like me who are black, beige, yellow, and brown. Mr. Backlash, ah, Mr. Backlash, I'm gonna leave you with the blues. Mr. Backlash, Mr. Backlash, Mr. Backlash, Mr. Backlash, oh, Mr. Backlash, Mr. Backlash, oh, Mr. Backlash, oh, Mr. Backlash, oh, Mr. Backlash. I'm gonna leave you with the blues. Oh, yeah.
How much tours have you went with Nina Simone? And how much music did you make with her?
That's a very good question. I was with her from 1965 until the late 80s.
Wow.
Oh,
And I was both her music, I became the organist and vocalist with her in the beginning. We traveled, I've been around the world, halfway around the world twice. We were invited as special envoy to play for the president of France, Francois Mitterrand was his name. That was a good experience, but I think what's going to really help is when we were invited to play for the King of Morocco in Morocco. Now that was exciting because, I mean, to go to Morocco, and Aretha Franklin and Marvin Gaye were big stars at that point, and Ray Charles. To walk into the palace of the King of Morocco and see him dancing to Marvin Gaye and to Michael Jackson, that completely freaked us out.
Wow.
That was fun. And to walk into this room to see Gladys Knight and the Pips, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, albums lined up against the wall, all American artists. They loved our music. That Nina looked at me and said, "Sam, do you believe this?" I said, it was completely surreal. This is a good song, and it's good for kids, too. I like it. I love you, Porgy, don't let him take me. Don't let him handle me and drive me mad. If you can keep me, I want to stay here with you forever. One day after forever. With you forever. I've got my man. Y'all are really making me, you're taking me back. And it's a good feeling, though.
I'm
I
glad.
really appreciate this.
Like, how was it? How did it feel like back then? Like, how was it like?
Back then, things were different in the sense that, as you can imagine, the difference between the color of our skin, racial issues were very much in the news all the time because of so much division and misunderstanding that it caused a lot of tension and arguments and fights and protest. Back then, and I think what you mean back then, let's say the 60s and the 70s, you know how the marches with the Black Lives Matter that just happened? It happened back then. And they were very different because back then we had tanks on the streets. Tanks and German Shepherd dogs and water hoses and batons. Black Lives Matter protests didn't have tanks and things. It was just basically people and the police. But when I was coming up, our protests were a lot more dangerous because you did have the tanks. You did have the German Shepherd dogs. They were sick on you. And water hoses and things like that. That was the difference between then and now. The same reasons, I'm very proud of these marchers today and these protests. They're very passionate, and they believe in what they're doing. We believed in what we were doing, too. And as they say, history has a way of repeating itself. Everything with Black Lives Matter is the same thing that happened then. So the world has not changed that much. It's gotten a lot better, but we still have the same division between races and people who don't, racism and bigotry is out of ignorance because they don't understand. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
My question is, have you ever played any music for Dr. King?
Actually, I sang, yeah, but he wasn't alive. I sang at his funeral.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure he heard it. I'm sure he did. But when I sang at his funeral, I sang a gospel song. That's the only time I really played for him. He had come to one of our shows when we played in Atlanta, but not specifically for him, no.
What age were you when you started playing music?
I was 3.
3 years old.
3 years old. I know. My mother said I crawled out of the womb and crawled right up to the piano and started playing.
Wow.
Nina also started playing when she was 3.
You said you had how many siblings?
I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters.
Wow.
And everybody plays the piano, all of us. There was always a fight over who's going to play the piano. Sinnerman, where you gonna run to? Sinnerman, where you gonna run to? Sinnerman, where you gonna run to? All on that day. Oh, I ran to the river won't hide me. I ran to the river, but the river won't hide me. I ran to the river, but the river won't hide me. All on that day. On that day. Oh, I ran to the rock won't hide me. I ran to the rock won't hide me. I ran to the rock won't hide me. All on that day. On that day. I say power, Lord, power, Lord, power, Lord, power, Lord. Oh, I ran to the rock won't hide me. I ran to the devil, but the devil won't hide me. I ran to the rock, but the devil won't hide me. All on that day, yeah, on that day. I ran to the river won't hide me. I ran to the river, but the river won't hide me. On that day, on that day. I said power, Lord, power, Lord, power, Lord, power, Lord, oh yeah. Then that Sinnerman, where you gonna run to? Sinnerman, where you gonna run to? Sinnerman, where you gonna run to? All on that day, yeah, on that day, on that day, on that day. I said, power, Lord, oh, power, Lord, on that day. All right.
My goodness gracious.
Get shouting now.
Oh, I really can't. I can't tell you what it's like. This isn't about me, but I'm sitting over here trying to make sure the sound's okay, that we get around to some more questions, and then you hit a note like that and hold it for 30 seconds, and I can't do that. I don't know if I could ever do that. And I'm out of breath just listening.
That's because
to you.
I'm inspired by all you people and these kids and stuff. Could they hear me? Could y'all hear me over there?
Can you guys hear okay? Could we get some thumbs up on the screen if you can hear Mr. Wayman just fine? I'm double checking with my other music teachers.
If y'all heard that, clap your hands.
Hey, there you go.
Okay. Look at all these people.
All those kids.
See them all? Okay. I'm halfway through.
Yeah, look at y'all,
Halfway
man.
through.
The ones with the they're there too. All of them.
Okay, good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not showing them on my screen, which is recording, but that's okay.
10 pages.
I have 226.
I just want to say to these kids, I just want to say to you, this is a first-time experience for me, and I'm honored to be in the presence of such young minds, aspiring musicians, great educators. I know you're going to be great doctors and lawyers and home care workers, and thank you for having me.
Beautiful.
225 of you all? Oh, no, this is crazy. This is so good.
The beautiful thing.
That's amazing. Thank you. I am honored. And I hope one day that I have the opportunity, and I will, to come and see you and hear you perform or play.
Well, once we get back in the normal swing of things, you will have an open invitation. I think I could speak for all three elements.
That would be such a... That would be a
In
thrill
fact,
for
I
me.
believe our department chair could speak for the entire music department that we'd be honored to have you at any of our future
Oh,
performances.
man, this would be such, okay.
Oh,
Y'all just added 10 more years to my life.
Glad to know that.
I know these are kids, but they know what love is.
They sure do. And love can mean many things.
I'm going to do a love song, one of my compositions. This is actually, there's a black soap opera, the country's very first black soap opera was called Personal Problems. And I played the role of a lover in this film. But you kids don't do what I do in the film, because the young lady that I'm in love with, she's married. But she just broke up with her friend, and she came to me for condolences and to lean on my shoulder. And I was singing it, and this is online, this is on YouTube, so you can see it. And I sing this song to her. It's called Down on Me. Hope you never say goodbye. Hope you always say hello. Hope this day will never end. Hope you never go away. If you leave me, my world come crashing down on me. I might be free, but then my life would be empty. If you leave me, my world come crashing down on me. Your lover keeps a coming on down on me. They say love can last for a minute or maybe two, but every time I feel you near, my heart seems to reach out for you. Oh yeah. If you leave me, my world come crashing down on me. I might be free, but then my life would be empty. If you leave me, my world come crashing down on me. Your lover keeps a coming on down on me. Yeah. Your love, my baby. If you leave me, my world come crashing down on me. Hey, I might be free, but then my life, oh baby, would be empty. If you leave me, my world come crashing down on me. Hey, down on me. Your lover keeps a coming on, 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 coming on down on me. Your lover keeps a coming on down on me. take me to the water. Take me to the water. Take me to the water to be baptized. Nothing but the righteous. Nothing but the righteous. Nothing but the righteous shall see God. Whoa, 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 yeah. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Oh, it's all right. Hey, I just had to throw a little gospel in there for you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I had to
sir.
go to church there for a minute. You've got to learn to let it go. You've got to know when it's all over. I say you've got to learn to let it go. You've got to know when it's all over. I say you've got to learn to let it go. Oh, you've got to know when it's all over. I say you've got to learn to let it go when it's all over, over, over. I say you got to learn to let it go. You've got to know. I say you got to learn to let it go. You've got to know when it's all over.
What was Nina Simone like? What did she do in her free time when she was not making music? And did she have any pets?
Oh, no pets. In her free time, she loved the sunbathing. She loved the water because she could swim. She was like a fish in the water because she was very into her body and her beauty.
Yes.
And she used to take care of the way she looked. Back in the day, when to the other young man that asked me what was it like back in the day, well, because of the racial strife that was going on, black women were not taught to like themselves in terms of their beauty. And she used to, back in 1969, when she had her first hit record called I Love You, Porgy, she wore a wig. And because she wanted to look like a white woman. That's what we were taught back in those days. Nappy hair, big lips, that was not considered to be very attractive. Okay, well, I think it was in 1970, no, maybe 1969. She threw out the wigs. She, first of all, she went to Africa. I've been to Africa several times, but she went to Nigeria. And by the way, the president of Nigeria stayed at my household because across the river. Yeah, he came here. After she went to Africa and she was around, she said to me, Sam, I have never seen so many black people in one place in my entire life. She came back a new person. She came back, threw away the wigs, and the rest is history. She really believed in her own self-beauty. And that's the Nina Simone that you now know today. As Malcolm X was a friend of ours. He lived right around the corner from us in Mount Vernon. And one of the things that he was very adamant about was elevating our history. This is Black History Month. And so to talk about our history, our culture, our ancestors, where we were from, slavery, et cetera, is very important to us. Very important. And I like to stress that. You can never learn too much about where you come from, who you are. Because if you don't know where you've come from, you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you are today. And so I would encourage all of you who are listening to the sound of my voice, learn your history. Learn who you are. Learn where you've come from. Learn who your parents, your grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents. My father was born in 1898. His father was a slave, which is my grandfather. So it's important for you to know who you are. I just wanted to stress that. Very important.
Thank you for that, Sam.
Okay, my question is, why did you start music, and have you done any other music than jazz?
Yes, I've done rock music, reggae. Reggae is one of my favorite. Blues and dance music. Not just jazz, and gospel music because I was brought up in the church. And so I had to play the organ and so forth. But I love all kinds of music. I think to be a rounded musician, you should appreciate all kinds of music.
Agreed. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you for it's a very good question. I'm about to play a song called I Shall Be Released by Bob Dylan. And Nina and I played it at the Olympia Theater in Paris. And after the song, there was a knock on the door, and I said, "Who is it?" She said, "Bob Dylan." I said, "Bob Dylan?" Nina said, "Sam, who is it?" I said, "It's Bob Dylan." She says, "Well, just don't stand there, let him in." So I let him in, and he said to us, "I've heard so many different renditions of this song, but I like you all's version better than anyone I've ever heard, and I want to thank you all because you all have captured the essence of when I wrote the song, when I wrote it as a poem." So when an artist tells you that you captured the spirit in which they created it, that's a very deep honor. And Nina said, "Thank you." And I said, "Thank you." And he said, "I hope we become friends," and we had been friends from that point on. But we were so honored. After he left, he hugged Nina and kissed Nina, and he hugged and kissed me too. And I said, "Well, thank you very much." He left, and Nina and I looked at each other in total bewilderment and satisfaction.
Yes.
We said, "Wow, that's really great." And so I want to say to everyone that I never do a concert. I've been doing this for 20 years. I have never performed anywhere without singing this song. I have to. I don't play it, it plays me. So I like to close out this wonderful segment with a song called I Shall Be Released by Bob Dylan. And this is my interpretation. And I hope you all like it. They say everything can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. But I remember every face of every man and woman who put me here. So I have to sing my song, and I gotta say, I see my light come shining. Yes, I do. From the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection, and they say every man you know must fall. But I see my reflection somewhere inside these walls. So I gotta say, I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Oh, yes, I do. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. There once was a man in a lonely crowd, and that man said, hey, I'm not to blame, don't blame me. He said, all day long, that man cried out so loud, I'm not to blame. So like I say, I see my light come shining from the west on down to the east, oh yeah. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Whoa, 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 la 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 la, la 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 la. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's all right, you know. I shall be released. Here we go. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Oh, yeah, na 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 na, I shall be released. Amen. Amen. Thank you.